Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I have a special guest.
Hello.
Yours truly, Bianca, up in the building. Today is a little different. Y'all have asked for more fitness content. Bianca is a movement guru, okay? Dance, yoga, all of that. All of that. There's like a misconception within the black community, like black girls don't do yoga and all that foolishness. So today she's gonna break down a few movements that are often done wrong.
And a few movements that anyone can do anywhere.
So let's get into it.
So let's just start with some basics. This is one of my favorite poses. It's called a cat-cow. It's a 2-for-1. You get 2 for 1 with this pose. It's a 2-for-1. I love cat-cow. It is brilliant for everybody. You actually can even do this pregnant. This is a wonderful prenatal yoga pose, but anybody can do this, any body shape, any size. This is great. If you want to hit the pose right out of bed in the morning, just kind of loosen up. You know, after you've been sleeping all night, you kind of just need to get the blood moving. And like circulation is a big issue in our society with our lifestyles. So this is great to get everything moving and get that blood circulation popping. So hit all fours. Things to look out for, right? I love that you just put the tops of your feet to the mat. Sometimes people tuck their toes under.
I've been practicing.
Yes. I actually am a big fan of putting the tops of the toes to the mat because our feet are rarely stretched that way. So let's talk about alignment. Wrists are going to be directly under the elbows, directly under the shoulders. Knees directly under the hips, and then your toes directly behind the knees. So your toes are not touching each other and your feet are not wider than put your feet wider than your knees. So we're not going to be wider and then touch your toes, and they're not going to be more narrow either. Just a nice right angle here, and then your spine, we need the spine to be straight. So hug your belly button up to your spine, not just so much, not a full round, but a straight spine. This is your starting point. Take a big inhale through your nose, drop your belly, lift your heart and your tailbone up to the sky. Yes, that's a big breath in. That's cow. Just let your belly go. And exhale. Now, now spread your fingers wide. Push the mat away from you. Send your spine up to the sky. Let your belly button follow on your exhale. You look like a scared cat. This is your cat pose. Yes. And again, take a big breath in for cow. Lift your heart and your tailbone up. Roll the shoulders back. Exhale for cat. Actually physically push the mat away from you. Lift your shoulders up as high as they can go. Spine up. Gorgeous. And again, big breath in for cow. Open mouth. Exhale. Side out. Push the mat away. Hug the belly button up. Gorgeous, Keep. Big inhale.
The most detailed cat cow I've ever had in my life, I swear.
Does it feel different?
No, it does, because actually no one's ever told me to push the mat.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Actually,
like,
physically.
Oh, okay, because I feel like I'm always just in here.
No, because you know what? If you do this, you start sinking into your wrist, right? The weight starts sinking into your wrist. I always hear people after class, one of the number one question I get, how do I get my wrist not to hurt if I'm down dogging from this? You use your core to hold you up, not your wrist. Your wrists aren't meant to sustain your full body weight or even your chest weight. It's these muscles doing it. So this is it. Look at your hands. If your hands are curled, it's going to transfer the work to the wrist. This is really good real estate, right? So think of a building. If you're going to build a building on stilts, or you want to build a building on a flat foundation, smash your palm flat, spread your fingers wide, press the mat away from you, and get out of your wrist. Now your wrists aren't doing the work. Now your body's doing the work. Game changer. So spread your fingers wide, drive your palms down, big inhale, send your heart and your tailbone up to the sky, just let the belly hang, arch it out. Exhale, contract, draw the belly button up, up, up to the sky, press the mat away from you. Gorgeous. You can get so much more length in the spine like that when everything is active and engaged. Big inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Side out. So we just completed cat-cow, and for the next move we're going to move into a downward facing dog. From your cat-cow, remember your fingers are spread wide, pressing your palms all the way down so your palms are flat. Now tuck your toes, lift your knees, send your hips up and back as high as they can go. Send your booty up as high as it can go. Yes, beautiful, downward facing dog, and then you can let the heels drop. They might touch the mat, they might not. Sometimes mine don't, that's totally okay. What's a downward facing dog, right? It's an upside down letter V. So we're aiming for one long line from the heels to the hips, and then one more line from the hips to the wrist. This is another one where people ask me, how do I do this and not have my wrists hurt? Well, don't lean your weight forward. Send the weight up through the tailbone. Whenever you're in a room where the wall meets the ceiling behind you, that crease, that is where the bottom of your tailbone is shooting up towards. So take a breath in, lift your heels up as high as they can go, breathe in. Now exhale and bend your knees. Doesn't matter how much, just bend your knees. Now on an inhale, send your hips up as high as they can go. Breath in, keep your hips there. Exhale, just let the heels fall. Don't touch anything else. There's your down dog. If you need another trick to find your down dog, can you push forward to a high plank? So just shift forward to a high plank and adjust. When you're in a high plank, same alignment as our cat-cow. Wrists under elbows, under shoulders, feet are hip distance. Now just send your booty back into down dog. Yes. Now, a high plank, your high plank hand position and feet position are exactly where you want your hands and feet for your downward facing dog. Often people will walk their hands back in a down dog, but you don't need to. Just keep them right here. So we're pressing the heart through the shoulders towards the tops of the thighs, sending the booty up, 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 lifting out of the wrist. Take a big breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale, let something go. Yes. And come down to your knees. You're back in tabletop.
A good question, as I ask it for myself, is how do I make my breath deeper?
Ooh.
So I feel like my breath is so shallow.
Right?
So it's like, I'm like, whoa.
Okay, let's just sit. Okay, so just sit up straight, kind of like lean back. So we're gonna take even measured breaths in and out. But I want you to focus on, instead of focusing on intake of air, put your focus on feeling the breath inside of your lungs. What happens when you breathe air in? As you take in air, your lungs blow up like a balloon, right? They go up and down. What's gonna happen naturally, right? Because you're a structure, we move. As your lungs fill up, they will push your ribs out. So when you're taking deep breaths, you can literally feel your ribs expanding and contracting. Focus on that, focus on the feeling, focus on pushing the ribs out and feeling that feeling, and you'll take in air, yes, naturally. So sitting tall, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale. Okay, double the length of that last inhale.
I know,
double. No.
I couldn't keep going.
No.
I'm like, hello?
Slower, there's no rush, there's no rush.
Just make it small and slow if that's the case.
Yeah,
Just
so double the length of that last inhale. Take a breath in and out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And yes! So the long exhales are amazing. If you can match that with the inhale.
Crazy how important your breath is.
Oh my gosh, it's everything.
Everything.
I didn't know how to breathe until I started doing yoga.
Yeah.
So I would love the opportunity to break down a vinyasa. If you are going to take, there's many different styles of yoga, but really commonly people take power yoga, especially if you're taking yoga at a gym and not at a yoga studio, most likely it's a power yoga class. Power yoga classes all connect the dots between poses with something called a vinyasa. So in a power class, you're gonna do your yoga poses. Slower classes that aren't as physically challenging, that you wouldn't necessarily go to for fitness goals, you'll hold poses a lot longer and it'll be a little bit gentler, right? And there's a lot of gentle yoga out there as well. But if you're looking for that work, if you're looking to get busy, you're looking for that action, power yoga is what you want to do. And your power yoga teacher will throw in mad vinyasas. If you ever heard of a chaturanga, we're about to do this. This is the mortar between the bricks of the poses that connects the whole class together. And most people don't do this right. I did not do this right. I thought I was the most graceful, beautiful swan ever. I thought I was like the most beautiful yogi ever in life doing vinyasas. And then I took a teacher training and realized I'd been doing this
whole thing wrong.
I've been doing the whole thing wrong for years and years and years. Most people are. It's not the end of the world, but I can show you ways to protect your shoulders. I do know now that doing it incorrectly over time, can really mess up your rotator cuff. And I'm all about injury prevention because I'm all about longevity.
Hey.
I'm trying to be doing this when I'm
92, honey.
Yes. So let's break down a vinyasa and I will show modifications as well for beginners. Start in a high plank. In between your poses, we'll do a vinyasa. So this is you start in a high plank, wrist under elbows, under shoulders, feet are hip distance, energy through your heels, right? You're pushing the mat away from you now. Close the gap between your hand and your mat. Yeah, let your core do the work, not your wrist. Shift forward on the balls of your feet. So now put your shoulders over the wrist. See, the shoulders are ahead of the wrist. This is your breath in. On exhale, bend your elbows, bring your elbows in towards your ribs. So kind of like a push-up, but elbows stay close. Yes, pause. That's your chaturanga. Now flip the tops of your feet to the mat. Just that. Press the mat away from you. Press it away from you. Lift your chest up to the sky. Arch your back. Yes, take a big breath in. This is your upward facing dog. Notice how the thighs are lifted. Now, tuck the toes, send your booty up and back, find your downward facing dog. Gorgeous. And that's your exhale. And that is your vinyasa. A lot of times people will have their feet way too wide if you have your feet out towards the edges of the mat. This is possible. I mean, there's a million variations on planks and push-ups, but for the sake of this, just keep alignment based, walk the feet in so your heels are right in line with your hip bones. Yes. Another thing people do. You're doing it.
I was doing it. It's my instinct.
Press the mat away from you, like you are pressing. So feet are hip distance, hands here. Also, if you're high plank, if your booty's up way too high, yeah. This is no good. We want the spine straight. Lift the center of the shoulders up. Yes, lift your chest, yes, girl, now you're planking. That's your plank right there. So shift forward. So not shifting forward is also actually come back. So come back. So now, but look, if you just, from right here, yeah, find your plank. I'm sorry, you working today.
I know, I'm like.
You working. So find your plank. And then with the wrists, with the shoulders directly over the wrist, just bend and find your chaturanga. So it's so hard. How much harder is that?
It is.
Yeah, the body doesn't want to do that. Now just shift forward on the balls of your feet 2 inches. So now the shoulders are ahead of the wrist. Now lower down. Look, your elbows have room. They have a place to go. A lot of teachers don't explain that, but it is so necessary.
I didn't realize I was supposed to be leaning forward. I was always going for my plank and then down to like push-up position from a plank.
Shift forward a couple inches so that the shoulders go from over the wrist to ahead of the wrist. And then now the elbows have somewhere to go. Versus here, if they're like locked out, it's tough.
It's hard.
It's hard. The body doesn't want to do that. Let's show a modified version. Okay. You can modify your vinyasa by putting your knees down, but I want to show you something. The best way to do that is to shift forward the 2 inches. Now drop your knees. Now bend your elbows into chaturanga. You can drop the feet as well. Press back up. Yep. So let's hold this. So if you're gonna modify, this is great actually, and I'm a big fan of putting the knees down until you learn the core engagement and can learn what we're aiming for is one line from the knees up to the shoulders, which you're doing. So your spine and your thigh bone are all in line with each other, right? So tops of the feet to the mat, knees down, but you wanna do that shift forward first. So this would be your breath in. Exhale, chaturanga, bend your elbows towards your ribs. Yes, and then you can push back up. So this is a modified chaturanga. Let's talk about upward facing dog, right? So our vinyasa is 4 things, if you guys didn't notice. Our high plank into your chaturanga, into your upward facing dog, into your downward facing dog. So we broke down our plank, our chaturanga. You can modify it with the knees down. Let's talk about upward facing dog. This is the one that people love to use stock photography for. So when you see like yogurt ads or like tampon ads and you see the girl looking really happy, and she's in yoga class and they have the model doing upward facing dog, the model always has it wrong. Always, every single time. I've even seen it on billboards here in LA done incorrectly in a way that is going to jack your backs up, and I'm not here for that. Let's protect your backs. So upward facing dog is a deep back bend. Find your chaturanga, I know, just hold it for a second. Yes. Now press the mat away from you, roll the shoulders back, but lift the core up, yes. So if you'll notice, look at that. Thighs and knees are lifted. 4 points of contact, just the tops of the feet and the hands. That is it. You are actively pressing the mat away from you, rolling the shoulders back. Send my heart through. Give me your heart. Send me your love. Belly button up to the spine and let it go. That's a pretty big back bend. So what do you see a lot, right? You see this.
Yeah.
All the time. This does not feel good on my back at all. It actually is pretty crunched. My back is like crunched up. And it doesn't feel good. But what we want to do is tops the feet to the mat, engage the core, press the mat away from you, roll the shoulders back. You have much more length through the spine now, and hug the belly button up. So versus like, even if your thighs can be lifted, but you're sinking into it, press the floor away from you. See that height, that difference? So if you're just sinking into it, even though my thighs are lifted, it looks active, I'm not. I'm sinking into my wrist, my neck is sinking into my shoulders like a turtle in its shell, like, but press the floor away from you, lift the neck, roll the shoulders back, shoot your heart forward, and engage the core. If you just let the belly drop, there's the belly just hanging, but engage it. So different, right? And as you engage your core, you protect the lower back, and now the lower back gets a workout versus just pain.
Yeah.
So we're breaking this down really clinically, each pose by pose. This is how I approach my vinyasas because it protects the rotator cuff. Remember I mentioned that? What I see all the time, what everybody does, is this like swim through body roll. Do you know the body roll?
That's what I thought it was supposed to be.
Yeah, no girl. So instead of the shooting forward, a lot of people are in their plank, they just drop down and they kind of just
that's
like.
what I thought it was.
All of that, this, after a while, the shoulder doesn't love that. And especially if you're not moving forward, you can jack up your rotator cuff. It's not gonna happen one time or after 5 times or even after 100 times. But over the years, if you're doing that like that swim through, ooh, nah. It might not feel as pretty.
Yeah.
Because you do. You feel like a really beautiful, graceful swan yogi when you do this like.
Chaturanga's on.
Yeah, you're like, I'm a dancer.
Yeah.
I'm the most beautiful yogi ever. Yeah. However, nice shoulders are pretty beautiful too, right? Healthy shoulders are pretty beautiful too. So it's clinical. It might not feel as pretty, but it's gonna feel a lot better for your shoulder health to just do your plank, shift it forward, lower down, just flip the tops of the feet right where you're at, push right up. See, there's no swim through. Right from your chaturanga, push straight up. And then from where you're at, tuck the toes, the hands don't move, right back into your downward facing dog. And then, that is the secret to get Angela Bassett arms.
Okay.
If you want them Angela Bassett cuts in your shoulders, doing your vinyasa like this, it's going to get you there.
That was what I was doing wrong.
Okay.
I was doing the wave like everyone else.
Okay, let me see your beautiful, new, improved.
Pressure. Okay,
Improved vinyasa. We already broke down the down dog, so we don't need to go over that.
Okay.
So 4 components, right? Let's review 4 components to a proper vinyasa. We have our high plank, our chaturanga, our upward facing dog, and your downward facing dog. Okay,
So
so
starting here.
high plank, take a breath in, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Tops of the feet to the mat, big breath in, push the mat away from you, lift your heart up, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. I was like unable to sit still. I did that with you. One more time, shift forward, high plank, breath in. Exhale, chaturanga, you got it. Tops of the feet to the mat, big inhale, press the mat away from you, rise, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Gorgeous. And show a modified version for people that need to protect their knees and beginners. Shift forward, high plank. Drop the knees. Tops of the feet to the mat. Exhale, chaturanga. Core tight, gorgeous. Big inhale, upward facing dog. Still lift the thighs. Yes, girl. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Woo! Beautiful. You're a yogi. Yep, and then let it jiggle, let it jiggle.
So you needed this. I needed this.
So
we needed this.
Yes, and I love it. We got to show you on a real body. I know sometimes I show these poses. I've been doing yoga for a decade. People are like, girl, you've been doing it for a decade, please. But
Real deal here.
real deal. Keep has not been doing yoga for a decade, and you saw how accessible and how doable that is.
Exactly.
I love to end class like this, so let's close your eyes. You're gonna have your hands on your knees, sit tall, give yourself a couple shoulder rolls. Sitting tall. Take your shoulders up towards your ears, back and down. Okay. For the woman you were, the woman that arrived to the mat today, that woman is no longer here. You have learned something about yourself as you learned these yoga poses. Take a big breath in through the nose. Exhale, let that woman go. For the woman you have discovered on the mat today, take a big breath in. Exhaling gratitude, trusting you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And for the woman you will become, for the woman you will discover the next time and the next time you hit the mat. Take a big breath in through the nose. And exhale in faith. It is all unfolding as it should. Namaste. Now Nama go.
All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out and kicking it with us in this here flow. I feel like I'm so flexible now. Don't forget to head on over to Bianca's Instagram, follow her, go show her some love, and get your yoga life on. So you can do this.
Record yourself. Let's see your yoga flows.
Yes, let's get into this.
Yeah.
Right?
Record yourself and tag us in the caption or comments. Let us see what you're working on.
All right, guys. Until next time, namaste. Oh, we can do it together. Yes. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. Namaste.
Whispered that she don't drink, said the sheet rolling. Hope I don't think that just that we smoke that I'm gon' hit. I'm like, what you think, so think